Welcome to Mind Minutes, where we untangle the everyday knots in your mind. Today, we're diving into a silent stressor that can really strain relationships: work pressure.
It's so pervasive, isn't it? Almost insidious how it seeps into our personal lives.
Exactly. We start with a relatable anecdote from the input text, a friend confiding about her partner, overworked, distant, snapping at her. Classic signs.
Yeah, the "I'm too tired to care" line. Ouch! Who hasn't felt that sting or delivered it even unintentionally?
It's a symptom, not the disease. The article calls it emotional impotence, that shutdown mode, when you're just too drained to engage emotionally.
Self-preservation almost. But at what cost? The article highlights decreased intimacy, less sex. It's a vicious cycle.
Right, and it goes both ways. Stress crossover. Your partner's stress becomes your stress.
Like emotional contagion? I get that. One person's anxiety can trigger another person's. Yeah?
Absolutely. The text uses a great analogy, a small cold that escalates if not addressed openly. You start wondering, is it me? Is it the relationship? And that's dangerous territory.
So, what's the antidote? How do we navigate this?
The article offers some solid advice. First, recognize the stress. We can become numb to it. So self-care, healthy habits, these help us stay tuned in to our own emotional barometer. Then, talk about it. I'm overwhelmed, I need a break, let's talk later, is way better than silence or an outburst.
Communication is key. It's our stress, not your stress. No keeping score, no "my job is harder than yours" nonsense. It just creates more distance.
Exactly. And if you're the one supporting a stressed out partner, give space when needed, but maintain some emotional distance for your well-being. You can't pour from an empty cup. Set boundaries like, I'm here for you, but let's take a break and come back to this.
It's a two-way street. You can help, but you can't carry the burden alone. Understand their needs. Maybe they just need a vent. Maybe they need solutions. Maybe just a hug.
And finally, remember the little things. Blocks, talks, shared sunsets. Those seemingly small gestures are huge stress relievers and relationship strengtheners. They remind us we're in this together. It's not about grand gestures, it's about connection.
Simple yet profound. Reclaiming those little moments can make all the difference. Thanks for breaking this down. It's definitely food for thought.
So picking up on this thread of work stress impacting relationships, these studies really dig into the dynamics. This Debro study, for example, 2018, it highlights how detaching from work stress at home, well, it's not always the magic bullet we think it is.
Oh, really? I would think creating that separation would be beneficial.
You'd think so, right? But they found that if one partner detaches too much, becomes emotionally unavailable, it can actually damage the relationship. It's like they're physically present, but emotionally absent. Almost a form of ghosting, in a way.
Wow. So it's about finding the right balance, not bringing work home, but also not shutting down emotionally?
Precisely. And this other Lewandowski study, 2014, adds another layer: stress can amplify both the good and the bad in a relationship. Under pressure, we might be extra affectionate or extra irritable.
So stress doesn't amplify. Interesting. It magnifies whatever's already there. So if the foundation is rocky.
Exactly. It cracks under pressure. But if the foundation is solid, stress can actually bring you closer, shared challenges and all that.
Makes sense. Like battling through a tough project together can strengthen a bond, but if there's underlying resentment, uh-oh.
Totally. And this Westman piece from 2013, it talks about, wait, what year was that Lewandowski one again?
2014. So the Westman study was a year before.
Right, 2013, it brings in this crucial concept of emotional contagion. You know, how one person's stress can become the other's.
Like a ripple effect, one person's anxiety triggers the others, and suddenly it's a tsunami of stress.
Perfect analogy. It's that small cold escalating, like we talked about earlier. And then there's that 1998 study. It looks at the broader relational dynamics, how empathy and open communication can be real buffers against the onslaught of stress.
So it's not just about managing stress individually, but also navigating it together, building that resilience as a couple.
Absolutely. And sometimes that means recognizing when you need outside help. Therapy, counseling, it's not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. It's like, okay, we're in this together, but we need some extra tools to navigate this terrain.
Makes perfect sense. Because sometimes, even the strongest couples can get lost in the fog of stress. These studies offer some great insights into how to find your way back. Thanks for sharing them.
So we were talking about stress crossover, right? How one partner's work stress can seep into the relationship. This Westman study from 2013, it really digs into that.
Yeah, the ripple effect. One person's stress triggers the others, creating a tsunami of tension. It can be toxic.
Totally. It's not just about individual stress management, but how we navigate it together. Like the Bra, Muller, and Westman study from 2018, they call it the crossover process model.
Oh, interesting. So, what does that model entail?
Well, it emphasizes how work stress isn't just an individual burden, it's a shared experience, impacting both partners and the relationship dynamic itself.
Right. It's not your stress or my stress, it's our stress. We're in this together, which is, well, it's kind of a double edged sword, isn't it?
Exactly. Shared challenges can strengthen a bond, but they can also expose cracks in the foundation, especially if there's already, underlying resentment or if one partner shuts down completely.
That emotional unavailability, like we talked about with the Dubrow study, physically present, emotionally gone, brutal.
It's almost like relationship ghosting. And it's not always intentional. Sometimes it's just a coping mechanism, right? But it creates this distance.
Yeah, it's a vicious cycle. Stress leads to withdrawal, withdrawal leads to more stress, and suddenly you're strangers in the same house.
Precisely. So, what's the solution? Well, these studies and really this whole conversation points to a few key things, right? Communication, empathy, and recognizing when you need extra support. Sometimes even the strongest couples need a little help navigating these rough waters.
Absolutely. Therapy, counseling, these aren't signs of weakness, they're signs of wisdom, I think. Recognizing that, hey, we can't do this alone.
And remembering the small things, those little moments of connection, a walk, a shared meal, a simple hug, can be incredibly powerful stress relievers.
It's about reclaiming those moments, nurturing that foundation, because at the end of the day, that's what helps us weather the storms, right? Those seemingly small gestures, they're the anchors that keep us connected.
Well said. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into stress and relationships. Until next time, keep those minds mindful, everyone.
And remember to breathe. We'll catch you next time on My Minutes. Bye for now.